And so sure enough, goose is flying about 100 yards away, not interested. And I hit that flag, and that damn thing locked up its wings and sucked right to that flag. It's like a magic wand. We shot that bird. A little group of birds come off after that. And I hit that. I started flagging, and them birds locked in. And I'd stop flagging, and they'd kind of moving their wings. I'd hit that flag, they'd lock in again. And I could pull those birds over them. And so I was the first person in my area to use a flag.
Welcome to the Fowl Front Outdoors Waterfowl Podcast, where our goal is to recruit and educate new hunters while entertaining the rest of you. Without new hunters and the mentorship of those more seasoned, this passion as we know it faces an uncertain future. So get the word out, turn the volume up, and enjoy the show, because you're on the Fowl Front. All right, today we've got Jeff Stanfield from Stanfield Outfitters and the Big Honker Podcast on. Now, me and Jeff have been we've been basically talking since we found each other out in the podcast world. Well, Jeff, that was kind of a short intro. You're a man that probably deserves quite a longer intro, but how'd I do there?
Oh, it basically summed my life up right there. Short and sweet.
Yeah. Now, how long have you been guiding?
Well, I don't actually guide no more. I'm the outfitter for sure now, but I have owned and been in the hunting business. I believe the first hunt we did was in 1992.
Okay.
That's pretty close, so that's going to be 25, 26, 27 years. It depends how you do the math. I think this is the 27th year I've did hunts.
Yeah, I was still filling my diapers at that point.
I've been doing it a long time. There's not a lot of guys in it that have been in it this long, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I can't remember, how did we get to talking?
It was over the Facebook closed group for podcasts.
That's right.
And we had talked about doing a group podcast with, three or four different of the Waterfowl podcast. And we started chit-chatting back and forth on Facebook and become friends. And, you're the exact opposite of me. You're a great guy, a gentleman, a lot of class, politically correct. And I'm all of the opposite of that, just about.
Well, I wouldn't say that at all. Listening to your guys' podcast and getting to know you guys through the podcast, and then getting to know you, on the phone and just talking about different things and texting and whatnot. There's a reason you're on my show.
Well, I appreciate that very much. It's an honor, I promise.
Oh yeah, and you guys are definitely class act guys, whether you want to believe it or not. So, but yeah,
I can go ahead.
Oh yeah, so Big Honker Podcast. You guys are big.
We're growing just like you guys are. We've been doing it since April 9th. It's been a fun thing to do. It's me and Andy, my oldest son, do it. It's about our business, which is Stanfield Hunting Outfitters, and we talk, just like it's hunting, the products. We've had some interesting people on. We've got Ted Nugent coming on with us. We've got Bill Dance going to be on, the fishing guy, in a couple of weeks. Today we're doing a guy named Sean Dwyer. It's the youngest captain in the deadliest catch deal. So we're doing more than just the hunting stuff, but just trying to find interesting people that have the same things we have in common, which is hunting.
Yeah, absolutely. What motivated y'all to start a podcast?
Andy talked to me last year during hunting season, and he told me, he said, "Hey," he goes, "you need to have a podcast." I used to write a column for a bunch of newspapers out here called Just Jeff, and it was basically the same thing that my Facebook is, which is not, political, or it is political, not a lot of non-politically correct stuff, and just kind of outgoing. And I've done stand-up comedy, and I wrote a book, and just things like that. And he thought it'd be really something for me to do, I think. And I wasn't interested because I'd really never even been around a podcast. I didn't even know what a podcast. I knew what it was, but I'd never listened to one. And he's like, "Hey, you need to do a podcast." And so I thought, I just don't know about that. And Then he said, let's do a podcast. I said, you know what? We'll do one. You set it up, we'll do one. So it's his baby, and it was his idea. And it's been the best time. I guess the word I would use is it's taken more of my time during the summer and made my summer go by a lot faster than normal.
Sure. Yeah, I can sentiment with that.
Yeah, it's a lot more work than people put into.
Yeah, people think we just kind of sit down in front of a microphone and talk, but there's a lot more into it.
Yes, people don't see that. I have people all the time. It's exactly right. They think you sit down and you talk for 15 minutes or an hour and you push a button and you've got a show. And it doesn't work that way. And I tell people all the time, ours is unedited, but it's not unedited in the fact that we don't have to do editing to make the sound better and stuff. We don't usually cut out anything we talk about. Right.
Yeah. There's a lot that goes into, and I still, I don't struggle with it, but when I go through and I proof my podcast episodes, and I'm in the truck, I'm like, God dang it, that's too loud on this side, or that dude's too loud, and then you got to go through, and you can pay for services or things like that, but it's there's definitely, you're always got quality in your mind, especially for ease of listening.
Yeah, that's right, and now I've become a podcast nerd, I guess you'd say, because I listen to a lot of different podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big fantasy football guy, and so I listen to I listen to a podcast 90% of the time in my vehicle now.
Oh yeah.
I don't ever listen to radio no more.
Nope. I mean, there's some days I got to make a rule to myself. I say, okay, well, let's just listen to some music and turn the brain off for a little bit. But
I don't even do that anymore, hardly at all. And I love music. And I spend a lot of time in a truck. Live in West Texas, you drive a lot. We chase birds, I scout, or you go anywhere. Hell, it's an hour to a big grocery store or the doctor's office from where I'm at, basically. So I drive everywhere, and I used to listen to a lot of music, and I never do.
Yeah. Yep, that's the same here. It's like I don't even know what's on the top 40 country radio anymore. So,
yeah, I couldn't tell you. If you told me you'd give me $1 million to name 5 songs in the top 40 country songs right now, I would lose $1 million.
Yeah, my wife, we went up to. Well, we're actually getting ready to go to Nebraska today. But last time we headed up to Nebraska, I turned. She started scrolling through her playlist, and I said, oh my gosh, that's a good song. That's a new song. And she's like, that's been out for about 5 months, Ben. And I said, oh.
Yep.
So
you going to a Husker game this weekend?
Yes, sir. Actually, I'm going to go teal hunting tomorrow morning. Got some private land next to a decent marsh that's known to be pretty good. And so we're going to go teal hunting in the morning, waking up early. Getting out there with a couple of my good buddies that I haven't seen in quite a while. And then I'm going to come back. I'm going to take a quick nap. And then we're going to head on over to the stadium. And we're going to do some tailgating around in the North Bottoms is what they call it. And downtown, taking the baby with us. So either bold, stupid, or call it hubris maybe. I think we're going to be all right. But and then once the game kickoff's at 7 p.m., so we're going to just head back to my sister-in-law's place and watch it there and put the kid down.
So you're not going to the game, you're just going to the tailgating?
No, yeah, that's me. I like going into the games. I like to go into once a season maybe I like to try to go into the stadium and stuff, but my parents sold their season tickets, and now it's like, oh, do I want to really go pay $80 to watch the game in the stadium where there's no beer there? I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm gonna miss 15 minutes of the game. Yeah, I mean the experience is worth it for a little. I usually end up going home at halftime, so to watch it on my high definition TV or something.
Who's Nebraska play this weekend?
Akron.
Oh well, shit, that ain't no football game.
Well, that's how the Big Ten. They usually started off with some of the high school teams. I'm not saying anything bad about Akron, so I don't even know who they are. But I know in the past, Nebraska in the first couple weeks, those smaller schools can give them some trouble sometimes, but I'm really excited.
If you don't beat Akron, then Scott Frost's going to have a long first year.
Well, I don't think anybody's expecting a whole bunch from this year because just with, we have a really tough schedule. There's like 3 weeks in a row where we've got Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan all away. You know what I mean? That's a tough schedule. That's a tough middle part of year. Actually, that's like 3/4 of the way through the season. So
I still say the worst thing Nebraska did was joining the Big Ten.
Well, the money was right, and I don't want to get into a Big Ten, Big 12 debate here, but we'll see. Big Ten did pretty dang good last year in the bowls.
Yeah, but they haven't done, other than Ohio State's 1 year. It's been pretty well. Other than Ohio State, there's nobody else done very good up there consistently lately.
Well, you got you'll never catch me saying this again, and it almost makes me sick to say it, but Wisconsin fields a great football squad every year.
Yes, they do.
They're always like they win the games they should, and then they beat people that they shouldn't. And I about threw up in my mouth saying that. And then,
why don't you like Wisconsin?
Y'all
didn't have any rivals up there really until
I consider them our rivals. Just
Wisconsin.
They come out and they just beat the heck out of us, and they don't stop, and they it's always like, I don't know, it hurts me to watch us play Wisconsin. Maybe it's because we have similar colors, and we're both similar Midwest states, and I don't know. That's if I have listeners in Wisconsin, I'm sorry, but that is how I feel.
Do you not miss the Oklahoma games?
Oh, so that's Oklahoma, Colorado, Texas, and I saw that we're playing Colorado. I miss the Iowa State games too. But I think that we're going to be seeing those on our out of conference schedules a lot more with old Scott Frost in there trying to make some decisions.
Texas tried to play A&M again, and A&M wouldn't do it.
Oh, yeah?
Just this week I read about it. Texas, you mark this down right now. It's August. The University of Texas will be a top 10 football team this year.
Okay. I wrote it down.
Mark it down. They're a program on the rise.
Yeah. Well, hey, I'm not saying it, but I'm thinking next year we're going to be starting off that way. So I got all the faith and confidence in the world of Coach Frost, and I think he's going to get us back to where we need to be, which is where we need to be is beating Alabama's butt in the national championship. Well,
my Blake that works for me, he's a Nebraska kid, and he's sold on Frost going undefeated this year.
Oh, that's lofty.
He's a lofty guy. I mean,
well, anytime your coach can get down there and pad up and run reps against the defense to give them a good look, whew, you know what I mean?
I didn't know he did that, but don't surprise him. He was a gamer.
Oh yeah, yep. Well, Jeff, should we get away from football and get into the meat of what we were going to talk about?
This is your show. You do it what you want to do.
Yeah, maybe someday I'll start a Husker football podcast, but who knows? Well, besides the podcast and all our similarities and things that we talk about a lot on the phone, the one thing that I wanted to bring you on for particularly is talking about the evolution of the hunting game or the hunting industry, however, whatever we want to call it, over the past 25 years, and some of the technological changes, some of the people changes, and some of the gear that's come out that's really been a game changer, if it were. And who better to talk about that than someone that's been grinding it out for the last 27 years?
This week's episode is brought to you by the following partners. Hunt Hickory Creek,
And new to Hunt Hickory Creek this year is their Central Kansas Lodge. Now, they run hunters from the end of October all the way through January, and they're situated right between Quivira and Cheyenne Bottoms, which combined can hold hundreds of thousands of birds at a time. Now, these guys work their tails off to not only put you on birds, but to show you a great time. So don't take your chance on something shady or unknown. Come check out Chase and a few of his guides, Cody and Scotty, in our Facebook group and pick their brains. And if you're going to hunt Kansas, hunt Hickory Creek. We're also brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries, the fastest growing, most affordable decoys on the market. With unmatched customer service, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, or divebombindustries.com. You can also find Asher in our listeners group, and you can use the code FOULFRONT to get your 10% off and get yourself into a large, effective, and affordable and easy to set up spread. It takes about a minute to set out a dozen. They take up no space in the garage or truck. So go get yourself twice the decoys with half the price and none of the hassle at Dive Bomb Industries. Now, with dove season approaching us, and teal season, remember that they too are migratory game birds. Federal laws apply in all 50 states, and that includes gifting and tagging laws. Make sure to keep your birds separated and or tagged when transporting or storing them with other hunters' birds. This includes from field to home as well. Gifting in the field, although commonly done, is never legal under 50 CFR 2040, and it must be done at the donor or donee's personal abode. For other helpful hints and tips, check them out on Facebook or under Toe Tags LLC on their website at toetagsllc.com. Have fun, be safe, and keep it legal. We're also brought to you by Athlon Optics, which produces some of the finest shooting scopes and binoculars on the market. Their ED glass is top-notch and rivals the glass of binos 3 or 4 times their price. You'll be able to pick a goose out in a depression from half a mile away with these things. They're tough, sturdy, and then this is where Athlon Optics goes above and beyond with a lifetime warranty. This thing which is pretty critical for a waterfowl hunter. So head on over to Athlon Optics and get a top-of-the-line binocular system for the season at a fraction of the price and a no-worries guarantee. FreelanceHuntStats.com. I have to tell you, I'm really excited to start using the Freelance Hunt Stats system this year. So if you've never logged your hunts in the past, or I think it's something that you should really start doing this season, on FreelanceHuntStats.com. Not only can you look back and remember past hunts, but you can also use it to help you learn and improve with your future hunting successes. So don't forget to set up your account and start logging this season. We're also brought to you by Duck Nuts. That's DUKNUTZ. Now, I've been fighting decoy rigging systems since I started, wrapping, coiling, even Texas rigs. Talk about a pain in the butt. Now, I work hard, but at the end of the morning, it's time to go home. And Duck Nuts allows you to rig your decoys so that all you got to do is throw them in the bag. And with their friction system, it's too easy to just pull the line and pack up or throw them out. It also allows you to adjust for depth. So if you're tired of fighting decoy rigs, head on over to ducknuts.com and use your 10% off Foul Front discount code. Also brought to you by Gypsum Creek Retrievers, which is a full-service gun dog training facility in the heart of the Midwest. And they look to build eager, confident, and reliable field companions through a unique approach that you won't find at many other places. So go check out Gypsum Creek Retrievers on Facebook or Instagram, or you can hit up Evan, the owner, in our Facebook group. We're also brought to you by DuckTech. Increase your odds of success in the blind this year with the DuckTech mobile app. 3-time world champion duck caller Barney Califf teaches you how to make the most important sounds, what they mean to a duck, and when to use them. DuckTech is available to download in the App Store and Google Play. So, with the season approaching, get the app today so you can put more ducks on the strap tomorrow. And we're also brought to you by SRB Field Rests. No matter what, where, or how you hunt, SRB Field Rests will keep your shotgun, rifle, bow, or crossbow clean, safe, and ready in the field or on the range. Waterfowl hunters in the dry or muddy fields. Turkey or predator hunters in the pop-up blinds. Hey, if you're hunting deer, elk, or bear, or any other big game, hunting in box blinds, they've got you covered. They even have rests for bow fishermen. So head on over to srbfieldrests.com and use your Foul Front discount code to get 10% off. Okay, let's get back into the show, but before we do, I just want to tell you guys, use these companies. These people are bringing you the Foul Front podcast, and it's not just because they cut us a check. We have a lot of people out there that want to support the show, and these are the ones that we choose. These behind all these companies are great people, really fun people to work with, and I hope you get to know them just as well as I do. And these products are great. So when in doubt, choose one of these companies, and we appreciate you supporting the people that are bringing you this show. All right, let's get back into the episode.
I have seen a lot of changes in the business from the decoys to all the gadgets that go with it. When I first got in the hunting business and started hunting, from the early 90s, from the time I started goose hunting and doing this for a job, the biggest thing I've seen, well, the decoys, when we first started getting in it, they didn't have all the silhouettes like they have now. There wasn't a dive bomb industries. There were some silhouette companies out there, and they were fighting amongst themselves. And the first big change that we made is when we first started hunting, we used the G&H shell decoys, the mediums, and they had the larges, and I had the 747s, and we still use some of the 747s sometimes because we use them to hide under in the peanut fields when we dig in.
Those are the huge ones.
The big ones.
Yeah.
And we still use those to this day some, not that often, but when we do dig in the peanuts still, we do use the big decoys. But that was the basis of our whole spread, was using the medium shells. And my spread might consist of 10 dozen decoys back then. I mean, you just didn't have nobody had a big spread like that. And I was a poor boy when I first got in the hunting business, and I didn't have any money. And so everything that I was using was stuff that I had that I used on my own. I didn't wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to be in the goose hunting business. It kind of evolved from a place to get a hunt that I wasn't going to get to have no more because they were going to lease it out, but they would lease it to me and let me guide hunts on it. And that's how I got in the hunting business. And so one day the spread that I used with me and my buddies in college and some friends of mine all of a sudden become my money-making machine, That's how I made a living. And so I had maybe 10 dozen decoys. Well, I bought a dozen full-bodied decoys, and they were the original carry light ones. And I bought them at Cabela's. So long ago, I bought them COD. Can you imagine buying something COD where you pay the UPS guy?
No, you have to explain that, because I remember it when I was a kid, seeing it on the infomercials, but I think a lot of people don't, a lot of, my listeners might not know what that is.
Check or cash on delivery. So when the UPS guy would come to you, it would be cash on delivery. So if I bought $380 worth of decoys, I'd pay him $380 cash to the UPS guy. Or I would pay it check on delivery. Like Cabela's, I could write them a check, but some places it was cash on delivery. So a UPS guy back in the 80s and 90s, he might pick up $3,000, $4,000 cash on him and carry it around.
Oh, man, I bet they appreciate not having to do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't even know if you can do anything on COD anymore. I hadn't even thought about it in years, but that's how I bought my first decoys. So I'd call up Cabela's, and as before debit cards, I didn't have a credit card. Hell, I was 21, 22, 23 years old. It's not like kids today that have credit cards, because a debit card and stuff wasn't around then.
Right.
But you'd either send them a check, and that's how they did it. So then that was a big part of their delivery was COD. So anyways, I bought these decoys, these carry lights. That was my first full-body decoys I bought. And I put them in my spread. Well, I had a kid hunting with me from down south, and his job was, he worked for some rich doctors, and he took care of their deer lease, and they liked to goose hunt. So they had one field to goose hunt, and they bought 5 dozen real geese silhouettes. And he started hanging around me some. He goes, can I go hunt with you in the morning? I'll bring the silhouettes. It's like, sure. Well, he brought these real geese silhouettes, and they were awesome. So I went and bought 5 dozen more, because I'd never used real geese. I'd never used silhouette before, other than some old black and white ones we had painted ourselves, just homemade ones, and used these real geese silhouettes, and so I bought some. Well, the next year my business grew, and then the next year it really grew, and so I ordered 100 dozen. At that time, that was a big, big order. Well, then I got a letter and a phone call from a guy named Jim Kripe, who owned Outlaw Decoys. Now, I don't even know if have you ever heard of Outlaws?
No.
That was they were in big competition with real geese at this time. And this had to be around 1995 or 96. And there was a big fight, and they had a big lawsuit over this. And they were doing photographic digital decoys is what they were doing. And Jim, with Outlaw, was suing real geese because he said they stole the patent. and vice versa. So I had a big lawsuit over this. Well, he calls me at the house one day, and I'll never forget this. It was in June sometime. My phone rings, and it was, hey, this is Jim Cripe with Outlaws, and I wanted to let you know that. And at this time, I'd probably built up my spread. I probably had 300 dozen because we were running 4 or 5 groups a day. And he goes, I'm going to let you know that we're going to name you in this lawsuit against Real Geese, and you're going to have to turn all your decoys in. Well, that pissed me off. Oh, that made me madder than hell. That would be like someone from Ford calling me up and telling me they were going to sue me for driving a Z71 pickup.
Oh, yeah. That's nuts.
And I said, we had some strong words about it and stuff, and I'm not one to, I'm pretty vocal about how I feel. And I told him he could kiss my ass, basically, and that he told me the sheriff was going to come pick my decoys up. Well, he doesn't know my sheriff like I do. My sheriff don't want my decoys, and he damn sure ain't going to come pick the damn things up. So I laughed at him, told me he lost his damn mind. Well, about a week later, he's got a propaganda magazine. They used to send a magazine out. It was all outlaw stuff. They sold boats, blinds, decoys, all kinds of shit, motion kits. Sends out a magazine, and in his magazine, he's got testimonials from people that have ordered his stuff. And in black and white, it says, hey, thank you so much for getting my decoys out to me fast. Here's my order for 100 dozen decoys and motion kits. Jeff Stanfield, Stanfield Hunting, Knoxville, Texas. It's in his book.
Ooh.
Well, I called up. I was madder than hell. Oh, well, someone must have made a mistake. Yeah, hell yeah, they have. I never bought your stuff. And I had customers that would call me up, oh, we're going to hunt with them outlaw silhouettes this year. Hell no.
Yeah.
But anyways, he lost his lawsuit to Real Geese. Real Geese won, and they kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
But he was a salesman. He was at the Memphis hunting show. Memphis used to have a waterfowl show, or Ducks Unlimited had a hunting show in Memphis. And we were there one year, and it was me and Eli Haydell were set up next to each other. And Jim come walking by. He had this big old cowboy hat on. Some people do not look good in cowboy hats. That's just bottom line.
I'm one of them.
He come walking up. I'm not one either that looks good in one, but he comes walking up with this cowboy hat on. He's like, jeans, tennis shoes, and a cowboy hat just do not go together.
Yeah.
And walks up real big, kind of cocky. And I said, boy, Jim, I said, you need 2 of them cowboy hats. Why's that? I said, well, you need one to shit in and one to cover it up with. He turned around, walked off, come back with a baseball cap on. But that was, I don't even know whatever happened to the guy. He may not even be around anymore, but that was a big battle in the waterfowl for about 6 months, was the Real Geese silhouette decoy deal. Now we've used Dive Bomb now, and Dive Bomb's a whole lot better product than Real Geese is, and is a big improvement. So the silhouette game has really gotten better from back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
Just no comparison on it at all.
Sure. And
the Dive Bomb is definitely the way to go. One of the other big changes that I've seen, the A-frame blinds, those didn't exist back then. Matter of fact, we always hunted in the middle of fields until we started using the A-frames and the panel blinds. And they're both really good products. And that has changed the game because guys don't have to lay down to shoot geese like they used to. They can sit up now. They're sitting on a bench. It's just so much comfortable. And it's been so much better on the birds because guys shoot better. You take a guy sitting or a guy laying on his back, and you can shoot so much better sitting. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not doing a sit up to get up there, and then, yeah, absolutely.
And then when I first got in the hunting business, we could shoot lead. And I went through the transition phase from the lead to steel, and boy, that was a big thing.
What was that first year like?
It was horrible, absolutely horrible. So many dead geese flew off. You'd shoot a goose 3 times at 15, 20 yards, and you just pop the piss out of them. Just poof, 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 and they'd fly off. And you know they're going to die. And they'd fly off, and you never see them. I don't know if they fly back to the water. You injured so many birds. The shot was horrible. And that was the birth of tungsten and bismuth and stuff. And bismuth was the first big company.
Yeah.
And those guys did a lot of testing with us on shooting their product in the mid '90s, and so we did a lot of bismuth shooting, and that was it was a good product, but it was just so expensive.
That's the thing. And for the steel shot that we're shooting now, I don't shoot any tungsten or bismuth or any other sort of non-toxic. I just shoot the steel. Usually Federal, or even that Field and Stream stuff that they sell over at Dick's. I for some reason, I love that stuff coming out of my Browning. But what's your opinion or take on the steel today now? Like
today's steel's great. There's no problem at all with it. You go buy a box of Dry Lock, I believe what it's called. Mm-hmm. Just as good. You're shooting not much different than the lead we shot back in the day. I mean, it's not as deadly as the lead was, but they've got the speeds up so much now on it,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So it works so much better. But back then, it was horrible.
I imagine that first year they were just swapping the lead out for steel.
It was bad.
Just run the steel instead, and didn't do any to bringing speeds up or anything like that. So
I could tell when in a group, because back then I guided all the time still, and you'd guide, I'd be guiding, and we sit behind our hunters. Our hunters are in the line behind us, and we sit in the middle back behind, 5 yards behind them, and so you can overview and see everything.
Yeah.
And during doing that, we call, birds break in, and we're shooting birds at 10 to 15 yards. We're not pass shooting. We're shooting in your face type shooting is the kind of hunting we do.
Yeah.
And they would shoot, and you could see if a guy was shooting lead and he wasn't supposed to be. If a guy was just crushing the birds, I'd be like, I bet that boy's not shooting steel. And I'd tell them they'd sign a waiver, and if the game wouldn't come, that's on them, not me. And I would, before we'd hunt, guys can't shoot lead shot, but you could damn sure tell when someone was still shooting lead. There's no doubt about it.
Because they'd just be birds crumpling in his lane.
Oh, yeah. Just like, they'd shoot their beaks off, as old Ron Winnicke used to say. Mm-hmm. And they would, and it made a big difference. So the evolution of shells and ammunition has changed. The same with guns. I don't know what year Benelli come into existence, but when I first got in business, nobody was shooting no Benellis then. I never saw a gun with a sticker on it.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the guns with the stickers on them?
I don't know why. Do they drive their trucks and put NASCAR stickers all over them? I think it looks stupid. I think it's just a young guy's deal. And as you get older, and I look back now at stuff I did when I was young that probably the old timers looked at me like I was an idiot on. It's the same way. I don't understand it. But I don't know why the young people don't respect a beautiful old gun. I shoot a Browning over under. I've shot a over under since I got in the hunting business. And my gun is not a pigeon grade gun. My gun is a gun I've used. I've had to row a boat with it. I've got dowel rods in the stock where I've shot them off. It shoots 3.5s. I don't shoot 3.5s no more through it. But it's Parkerized Browning over under. I took a $1,700 shotgun and made it worth about $300, but it works. It doesn't shine, but it was a tool of mine too. But I don't understand why kids don't appreciate stuff like that and want to shoot these guns. That I shoot over under, so I'm not a fan of shooting 3 shells, anyways. I mean,
that's actually, I'm switching over to that this year. We had a podcast episode talking about selecting a waterfowl gun, and people told me, "Oh, you won't do it. You won't shoot a." I said, "Well, people have been shooting double barrels at birds for a long freaking time, gentlemen. Like, it's not a new thing. I mean, it's not standard anymore with the plastic guns and all that stuff. Just I think a lot of that comes from that is like looks cutting edge and cool." And so everybody wants to have the cutting edge space age technology stuff. But yeah, I'm the same. I appreciate a good looking old something that I could pass down to my kid.
Yeah, I do not want to shoot a gun that's not. I mean, I'll shoot whatever I had to, but if my choice is to shoot the older guns, I like them. I like an over and under, and I've shot an over under so long that I'm used to having 2 shells.
Yeah.
Like I told Andy the other day, we talked about this. If you can kill them in the first 2 shells, you don't have to shoot 3 every time.
Yeah, I've never. I think I've shot 1 triple. So, and I know for dang sure that there's been some times where the goal was to get all 3 shells out, not to shoot 2 birds. You know what I mean? And that's it was thinking like, oh damn,
Yeah, it's a mindset thing, because once you shoot 2 shells all the time, you don't ever miss having that 3rd shell.
Right.
I don't ever think about it, but I'll have someone that shoots an automatic or whatever they shoot, and they shoot it. They're like, oh, I wish I had the third shell. Most times on a flock of birds, if you're guiding a hunt or you're hunting with some guys, and you bring in 15 birds and there's 6 guys shooting, you're only going to shoot 6 birds anyways. I don't care if you got a group of 12 guys or you got a group of 4 guys. People average about 1 bird per flock.
Yeah. And it always seems, I think, that there's something about it. You can talk about, okay, you shoot, this is your lane, this is your lane, this is your lane. But when there's a group of birds coming in, there's always 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 birds that, for whatever reason, those birds are the most visually appealing targets, and everybody shoots those 2 or 3 birds.
Well, in West Texas and southern Oklahoma, I can tell you what it is. It's a snow goose. We can have 100 birds do it, come in the spread. The birds that fly away are the birds that land on the ground always. Nobody ever shoots the birds that land in the decoys. And I don't mean shoot them in the decoys. I mean, as soon as they jump up, shoot them. They don't ever mow them birds down. They're shooting at the 50-yard birds that are 3 stories high that are the back end of the flock. But the birds right up front never get shot at that land. But if a white goose is in the spread, I don't care where it is, that's the bird that's going to get hammered because everybody shoots at the white bird.
Interesting.
I see it every day during hunting season. There's a white bird. 8 guys will shoot the same white bird. They won't shoot the birds in front of them.
That's interesting.
Because we don't shoot very many snow geese.
Yeah. That's, I always just laugh when everybody, I just hear, bop, 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 in the whole group, and there's one bird that just, that poor bird. And I'm like, hey guys, thanks for shooting in your lanes. Like, had, 12 birds come in, man, we hammered 2 of them. Like, it always just makes me laugh.
It's like that every day. You see the same thing. But the birds that land in the spread never get shot. I'll tell you some other changes I've seen. And me and Scott Trinan talked about this. I think the biggest change has been the motion. Scott says it's the calling. The decoys are last on that list, even though we've transitioned from the crappy silhouettes to the real good dive bomb silhouette. The decoy deal, it hasn't changed because a goose decoy looks like a goose decoy and a duck decoy looks like a duck decoy from the 1950s. If you pick up a sporting goods calendar from the 50s and you could buy duck decoys, or if you went back to 1912 where they were hand carving their decoys, it still looks like a decoy.
Right.
I mean, so a decoy hasn't changed at all, other than the goose decoys, some don't shine as much as they used to, and the silhouettes have definitely changed. But still a goose decoy. But back then, there wasn't no motion decoys. There wasn't any mojos. There wasn't any sort of flag. And a flag is I think Randy Bartz had the greatest thing ever in the flag, and he invented it. And I bought my first flag out of a Caduceans in 1996. And I'd seen them advertised before, but I'd never seen anybody use one. And I remember I was on a hunt, and it was mid-morning, and I'm saying mid-morning was 8 to 9 o'clock, the first original flight. And we hadn't shot a limit of birds yet. And the birds were not that interested. They were going to a field behind me. And it was a bluebird day, no wind. And I told a buddy of mine, I said, I bought this flag. It's in my bag. So I pulled it out. And he goes, what is it? I said, I have no idea. And I put together, I didn't even know what it was. I had to look at the directions on how to put one together. And I get it put together, and I'm like, shit. I'm looking at it. I thought, they say this works. And so sure enough, goose is flying about 100 yards away, not interested. And I hit that flag, and that damn thing locked up its wings and sucked right to that flag. It's like a magic wand. We shot that bird. Little group of birds come off after that. And I hit that. I started flagging, and them birds locked in. And I'd stop flagging, and they'd kind of moving their wings. I'd hit that flag, and they'd lock in again. And I could pull those birds over them. And so I was the first person in my area to use a flag. Nobody had them. I mean, that was it. And that first year, I was the only person I know that even had one. Now, after that, it became more and more popular. And then the next year, Randy come and hunted with me. and then Mike Ducart, who had Illusion Goose Calls, and Randy sent me a flag kit, a bag it's a gun case, and it says Flagman Pro Staff. It's got my name on it, and it's a pretty neat deal from way back. But that, to me, that flag was one of the most influential parts of the hunting today, more than anything else. Now, Scott says it's calls. Calls have definitely gotten better. I agree on that. But I still, a lot of days, you can put that call up and you need a flag.
Yeah.
And Mojo's same way. I have a kid named Dave Reese that worked for me out of Minnesota, out of Rochester area. And he'd worked for me for a year or two. And he comes back and he said, man, I got something to show you. He said, man, ducks go crazy over this thing. He showed it to me, and I laughed. I thought, there is no way in hell that's going to make ducks come in. I mean, it just don't even look right. And you know, and the rest is history. That there's the Mojo has caused more ducks to die than anything else in history, I bet.
Yeah, makes me think, what's the next thing?
The flock of flickers that Mojo has coming out right now is going to change a lot of it.
I've heard. Are you talking about the ones that they already have out?
Yes, and they've got an amazing the way they're set up, and that beacon of light they make. I think it's going to change the goose hunting, because there's not a motion deal for a goose right now.
There's the flappers or whatever, but there's not.
Yeah, they don't
there's
work.
Not that flash, I guess.
Yeah, geese are different. Their wing beats are slower or something, but if you have a Mojo up in your field spread, you're not going to shoot no geese.
Yeah.
You know, they don't. You know, hell, you look at the damn snow goose sets now, and these guys got these vortexes, and it looks like a freaking carnival out there with all this shit going on.
Yeah.
Spinning and flipping and stuff, and it works for the snow geese. But the Canada geese, I've yet to find a motion deal. Now, wind socks work great. You know, you gotta have some motion in your spread, but there's no Mojo type device that I've seen for Canada geese that works yet. But I think this flock of flicker thing they've got will, because if you look at geese from way off, and I spend a lot of time scouting, so, and I don't mean scouting like everybody else does, driving the fields. I mean, I'm in the morning while my guys are hunting, I'm out looking for birds, and I watch birds a lot. I spend hours a day in the wintertime watching with binoculars. And I'm watching these birds, and those birds have a motion that's a black and white motion when they're walking, and that's all you see is a black and white blur all the time from spreads. And this new Mojo deal recreates that.
Interesting.
And I think it's going to really be a big game changer. And I may be wrong. I hadn't seen them in the field. I've just seen video of them and stuff.
The flock of flickers, at least the ones I think we're thinking of the same thing. The little discs with the upright wings,
yes.
Kind of. I know
around.
people curse them a lot in the duck marsh, for sure. Just because I guess they don't. I don't know. They said that they've just seen more problems with them than anything. But I've never personally hunted over one, and I almost, they're like $99, and I almost did it because I've had so many people tell me something don't work, and then I go ahead and I'm stubborn Ben, and I go do it, and I say, oh, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. You know?
Well, I'm going to tell you that what I don't know for sure what the plan is on it. I don't know if they're wanting you to just put 10 of them out or 3 or 4. But from what I understand on the goose spread is you put multiple ones out and they delay. One comes on for a little bit and goes off. This one comes on for a little bit and comes on. And I think that's a neat concept for field goose decoys. I really do. And the motion, and the way it looks like motion, will attract the birds. And it may not work, because I've seen a lot of stuff on the market that doesn't work. I think it's going to work. But like I said, I've yet to see them in the field. And I don't know anybody that's hunted on them, because goose season hasn't opened yet.
Yeah.
And what works in Canada doesn't always mean it's going to work everywhere else, because they're shooting with, right out of the eggs.
Right.
So it's not a real true test. A true test is going to be January 15th.
Yeah.
This year.
January 15th, mid-Texas, Oklahoma,
Yes, when the birds have been hammered all year. That's another huge change in the hunting business, in the hunting world that I see compared to back when I started. Back when I got in the hunting business, I was one of those kids that grew up reading Ducks Unlimited magazine. I loved it. I used to read in the back of all the outfitters, and I used to dream about going to get the hunt on them places. There was a guy back then that sold hunts on the sea coast, and then there was a guy that had swan hunts on the Pimlico coast in North Carolina, and then there was a guy in the upper Texas Panhandle, and they were in business up to about 10 years ago, and I would see their ads in there, and I thought, man, one day I'm going to go on one of them hunts and do that. Never thinking that I would be doing the same thing, but there was no outfitters hardly. When I first started outfitting in West Texas, there was 2 guys hunting up around Amarillo. Nobody hunted in Lubbock. Shit, there's 35 outfitters in Lubbock now. In Oklahoma, there wasn't nobody selling goose hunts in Oklahoma that I know about. I'm sure there was some guy somewhere hunted some here and there, but just running a big operation.
Yeah.
But there was no big operations in Kansas. There was a few places in Canada you could go. So when we started hunting our birds around Knox City in November, and still to this day we shoot a lot of birds in November. We get a bunch of early birds for some reason that come to Knox City. We'll have more birds in Knox City than they will in Great Bend, Kansas at the 2 refuges November 15th usually. It's unless we've had a big cold Arctic push. But those birds hadn't been hunted much at all. Now, early November, you see birds, you'll see specks, and you can tell a bird's been hunted. A lot of them wings are, he's got stuff missing where he's been shot at and stuff. But people are starting to hunt now, September 1st, and there's a ton of people hunting starting tomorrow in Canada, and the pressure on the geese and ducks is so much more than it used to be. And some of that is because waterfowl hunting is cheaper than deer hunting, I think. And I think Phil Robertson had a lot to do with it because he got more people excited about it. But the internet and Facebook have changed it because a group of guys in southern Louisiana have talked about going to North Dakota or South Dakota or to Canada to hunt early in the year in September and October. They really didn't know who to go with. Well, now you get on there and you can find 50 people guiding in southern Saskatchewan.
Yeah, and you can talk to them that second. You can literally just shoot them a message, and they'll hit you back within a minute.
Yes, and you didn't have to wait for them to call you back, or it might be 2 days, and you didn't have to. Or if you got some buddies and you own your own stuff, and not a lot of people have their own goose rigs. It's not like duck hunting. Duck hunting's really inexpensive if you really just want to duck hunt on your own. You can find a pond to hunt or public water somewhere. You need some waders, a dozen duck decoys, and you can hunt. So for less than $500, you can have a spread. Well, you can't goose hunt for $500.
Yeah, exactly.
But these guys got these rigs of goose decoys, and they all, there's 5 or 6 buddies. They chip in, they buy a trailer, and they buy their stuff, and they hook up their truck, and they go to Canada somewhere, and they get on the internet and Facebook, and they find a place that's holding some birds, and they do it that way. And so it's real common now. Where back 20 years ago, that was very unusual.
Well, you're talking about, not being able to own a, goose. Not a lot of people have goose rigs. And it was something I'd been dreaming about for, several years, ever since I started waterfowl hunting, or getting heavy into it, I should say. And so I had accumulated, close to, 100 goose decoys. And it wasn't until I went to move, this last time from Oklahoma up to Kansas, I went and I threw all of them in the back of my pickup, and I didn't have enough room, and I said, I can't get a bigger spread than this. The heck am I going to do, with all this? And then that's when we got to seeing like the silhouettes. Okay, let's check this out. And then got to talking to Asher from Dive Bomb Industries. And because people don't realize, okay, go buy yourself 10 dozen full body AVNX. You ain't throwing that in the back of your pickup truck.
No.
Now you gotta go buy a trailer. Oh, you don't want someone to steal that crap because it's expensive? You don't want it to be sitting out in the weather all day or all year round when you're not using it? You gotta buy an enclosed trailer or go buy somewhere to park your trailer. And yeah, that it can all add up pretty dang quick. And then time, ugh.
If you've got an enclosed trailer full of decoys we'll call it a Canada rig, which is basically one of our enclosed trailers. And you put all your decoys in there, and you're running. You got your full bodies, you've got silhouettes, you've got your layout blinds, you've got your duck decoys, field duck decoys, you got your couple of mojos, you got blankets to hide under if you need to hide under that. A spread that we could have in a trailer that we could run anywhere with everything we need in it. You're going to have about $15,000 tied up per trailer.
Yeah. Yep.
And so back then, and still today, there's not a lot of guys that are going to do it. I know a lot of guys that hunt on their own that they 5 or 6 friends split up and they've built up a trailer by the, over a couple of years' time. But
you're just one, my wife hates your wife away from that going away.
Oh, women and their drama. It don't matter if it's kids showing pigs. It don't matter if it's little league, high school football, hunting. If you took women and drama out of stuff, world be a lot easier sometimes. Gosh.
Not all women. Not all.
No, not all. I'm not knocking all women, but that's every group of guys has got that one wife that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Every group of guys that's listening to this is saying, "Yep, that's Earl's wife." But it is. It's true.
Oh yeah.
Everyone. I mean, it's just the way it is. There's one woman that's going to cause drama in the deal. But you get back to the hunting stuff. You got this trailer, but that wasn't normal back a long time ago. 20 years ago, there were very few of those trailers around. But if a guy wants to go duck hunting, he can get into duck hunting. It's a lot cheaper. So now the lakes and stuff are getting more duckers, and we need more hunters.
Oh yeah.
Now I wasn't around in the 50s and 60s, but I'm assuming there was a whole lot more duck hunters then than there is now.
Yeah. That's what the numbers. That's what the numbers say, at least. So,
yes.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh no, continue. I was gonna ask you about the internet and whatnot, but
access to hunting places today with Go Devil motors and airboats and all that stuff has made places. We talked about this with Asher in Arkansas hunting that flooded timber. People can go to places now they used to not be able to go to.
Right.
And so that's changed the game too, because these young kids jump in daddy's airboat and they go and they can get in any hole they want to hunt on anymore. Where before it was a lot of work, and those ducks had places to rest where nobody jacked with them.
Right.
But everything is accessible now.
Yeah.
We're talking about the internet.
Yeah, which is an excellent transition to, information being readily accessible at all times. How did you guys how'd you guys run this thing before cell phones, before the internet,
Well, we'll go to internet first. Okay. The internet, when I first got in business, the internet had just really gotten going. And so much that my dad, who is not technologically savvy by any means at all, but he was the first person I knew that had an email. And I was sending out my brochures one day. Back then, what I would do, and it was a big cost too back then, back in the mid-'90s, was making brochures. So you had to design this glossy brochure, and you'd put pictures on it and all this stuff. Well, I would take that brochure, someone would call me up, or send me a letter requesting a brochure. That wasn't unusual. And I would have to go to fill out an envelope, put that brochure in it, go to the post office and mail it to them. I mailed them out every day. Some days it'd be 1, some days it'd be 50. I'd mail out brochures every single day. And I used to have 10, 15,000 brochures made up every year. And they weren't cheap back then. There wasn't no GoPrint.com. You had to go down to a printing company and spend $5,000 to $10,000 a year on brochures. It's part of your business cost. And stamps. Mm-hmm. Well, I remember my dad told me one day, he said, a couple of years from now, you won't even send brochures. You'll do it all by email. I'm thinking, you've lost your damn mind. Ain't nobody going to do that email stuff. Well, he was on to something.
Yeah.
And once we started using brochures or started doing emails, I'd get email call. Then you start putting your email address on your brochure. Right. And eventually you get where we are now that we don't even do brochures at all. I'll never do another brochure. Even when I go to hunting shows, I'll just have a little piece of paper I can hand out or something. But you don't do brochures no more. You don't mail nobody anything. Everything is done by email. So emails changed that part of the game. And then the websites. that really changed the whole game. And websites have just about put hunting shows out of business. When when I first was really getting going in the 90s, we would go to a hunting show. And when you went to a hunting show, that was all business was done there. I don't care if you sold deer feeders, deer stands, decoys. If you were in the hunting industry, you had a booth at a hunting show.
Right.
And you planned on doing most of your business there. So I would have my booth set up, and I had a TV, and a big old TV weighed 500 freaking pounds in. And my booth set up where that TV went up there, and I had video. And that sold most of my hunts. We had really good video because we had really good hunting. And not everybody was getting to see video of geese being shot right in their face. But we would show that video, and these people would walk by, and they'd book a hunt then. Or they'd get your number, and they'd call you the next day or a couple days later. But you would sell 60 to 70% of all your hunts all year in a weekend in Fort Worth is where we did ours at. Big hunting show. Everybody went there. Well, Bass Pro and Cabela's come out. Instead of just being in Nebraska and in Springfield, Missouri, they started building them in every town in the country. Well, that changed hunting shows because a lot of people, instead of buying their product straight off of the people that were making the product, then they started buying from Bass Pro and Cabela's. So that was a thinning out of the hunting shows. Then the next thing that happened was they went to websites. So if you wanted to go buy a duck hunt in Maine to shoot sea ducks, you didn't have to go to a hunting show hoping someone from there was selling it. You could just get on the internet and look it up and find somebody. And it's real simple. So that has made it so easy for guys that a guy's got grandma's farm he hunts, and he has 4 good hunts a year on it. Well, he's thinking, shit, I'm going to get in the hunting business. So he starts advertising selling hunts on it. Well, a lot of people aren't going to get on those 4 good days, but some people might. And then the next year he does more and more of it. And so I think the internet has helped the hunting business tremendously, but it's also hurt it because it's taken away having any skin in the game, any experience, because you can just put a couple of pictures up and you have 1 good hunt a year, 2 good hunts a year, and you sell hunts to these people knowing they're never going to have that kind of hunt. So it's
sure. The hurdles are lower, or the barrier to entrance is lower, but I think the scratching and clawing up to the top probably still just as hard today. Because if your barrier to entrance is low, you have a long uphill. You're getting into a game that you didn't know that you were getting into, I think.
And there's a lot of them do it.
Yeah.
They see that in Lubbock, Texas a lot. I'm sure it's other places. I'm just familiar with Lubbock. But Lubbock has got a real bad problem with college kids becoming outfitters. And I don't care what you do. I was in college when I started my business. Good for you if that's what you want to do. That's your dreams. But these kids go out there, and they've either hunted with an outfitter out there or somewhere else, and then they're on their own, and they're like, hey, Dad, buy me 50 dozen decoys. I want to get in this, I want to get in the guiding business while I'm going to school. And they go buy them some decoys and stuff, and then they're going hunting on places they shouldn't. They have a lot of trespassing problems out there. But these guys build them a website. I saw one yesterday. This kid brand new was going to college, has this brand new website. And kid's 19 years old. And he's selling hunts. And his website is up there with my website and everybody else's website. It's been doing it for 25 to 30 years or whatever you're doing it as. But to JoJo in Dallas that's never done it before, he don't know.
Sure.
It's just a website, and a guy's a hunting guy just like everybody else is. So it's really made it too easy to be taking people's money hunting for some guys.
Yeah, and not to say that there's not some 19-year-old kid out there that's not just a good, hardworking guy that's going to put you on birds or anything like that, but same with a 55-year-old guy, right, Jeff?
That's right.
You kind of have to. You don't know what you're getting until you go and you call clients or you talk to.
That's
somebody.
right. A lot of these guys don't have any of those.
Yeah.
But with today's marketing and stuff and the way the internet is, you don't have to always. And that's not saying that kid's not going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. He may be. I don't know. But I see it every year out there, and I don't have to deal with it in the areas that we hunt on as much. But I have some friends in the Lubbock area, and I hear about it every day during hunting season. I mean, setting up on the fence rows by their fields. They'll go to a cotton farmer and say, hey, we'll pay to hunt on here, and they'll lay up in the cotton next to a cornfield where the birds are at, and pass shoot birds coming into your field. And I've been there before, and there ain't nothing piss you off more than that shit happening.
Yeah.
Especially when them people are getting paid just like you are, and they're get paid by people to lay in cotton. And we talked about the cell phones. That's changed because of instant gratification. If I call you or I text you, I expect to have a response in 10 to 15 minutes, like everybody does.
Yeah.
Or quicker. It's just the way we're wired now.
Yeah.
Back when I first got in the hunting business, I'd come into the office and I'd check machines. I might have one message, I might have 15 messages. I call them people back, and if they're at the office and the secretary, I can tell you one thing: if you're a hunting outfitter, you can get by as secretary so fast, because you can call someone up and they can say, hey, this is so-and-so. Well, they're busy right now. You say you're a hunting outfitter, boy, they'll get you right in usually. Big priority with the guy with the guy looking for a hunt. But you leave a message and someone might call you back for 3 or 4 hours, and that was normal.
Yeah.
Well, nowadays we expect someone to email us back or call us back or text us back immediately. So that part changed. But I used to, in communicating with your guides, I can keep up with all the hunts going on right now by texting. Before I used to have to talk to them on the phone, and now it's texting. It's so much easier. But I can keep up with the hunt going on the whole time, good, bad. This guy's an asshole. That guy's a great guy. Whatever's going on in the spread, I can know about all the time. I'm updated. And my guys text me back and forth because they know that's my pet peeve. I like to know what's going on.
Yeah. How did you do
it
before cell phones?
I had radios.
Yeah.
And I didn't have those little radios, those Motorola radios they sell now for $69 that you can buy at Walmart. There's two of them. I had to buy the heavy. They were about $250 a piece. And I had chargers. And at the lodge, I had about 8 radios. And they had a closet, and they were in there charged up. And every guide had to get a radio in the morning. Bring your radio in, plug it in at night, take it out in the morning so it's charged up. I'd drive down the road, and I'd pull up the spread, and I'd get on there like a walkie-talkie, and I could talk to them.
Yeah.
And
these are the ones with, like, repeaters that they have at the co-ops and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, I didn't ever go that far. I was going to do that and put a base in and have one at my office and at my house, and I could keep up with them. But what this one was just had they say 3 mile range, which means about 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah.
And I could pull up to this, the spread, and I could get an idea of what was going on. And one time I'd even make the guys stand up with hand signals and kind of, 2 hands up in the air means we're having a good hunt. I just like to know what's going on.
Right.
Hey, I'm not going to change nothing. There's nothing I can do to change it. But I like to know what's going on. If we've got 4 groups out and all 4 groups have had good hunts, I'd go down and do my scouting for the day. I might drive back and watch them for a little bit. Then I'd go to the office and get ready for everybody coming in when the hunts were over and checking out and all that stuff. But with a text, if you've got an issue or a problem, you don't have to wait till someone gets in to tell you, hey, we've got a problem.
Right.
You know exactly, hey, we got this guy coming in, whatever the deal is. I'll tell you the difference is not having a phone. I had a client of mine, we were hunting up on this big ranch called the Spike Box. It's big wheat fields, 3, 4, 5,000 acre wheat fields. The biggest wheat field they got up there, 6,500 acres of wheat, which would be 10 miles. And I get a call at the house about 7:15 in the morning. I'm just fixing to leave. And I used to take my kids to school in the morning, then I would make my rounds. So I'm fixing to leave, take them to school, and then I go check on my hunters. Phone rings. It's out-of-town number. Hello, how can I? No. Hey, this is so-and-so. I'm a secretary for this gentleman. He's on a hunt with you. I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, well, his father passed away, and I need you get a hold of him. I was like, okay. So I had to drive up in the wheat country, and I got out there as they were coming out of the spread. They were coming out of the hunt. They were done. They'd done shot out real early. I met him on the road, and I had to tell him his father had passed away. You need the emergency. You need to go. Your father passed away. Or whatever. I don't remember the exact conversation, but
yeah,
I couldn't just call on a cell phone like you could do nowadays.
Yeah.
And so
There's an interpersonal, communication connection that's definitely not there anymore.
No, and so I really enjoyed that part or not enjoyed that part. I mean, the having a phone now has made things a whole lot easier.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
So,
for sure,
we need to do more. We need to fix some of the things with the cell phones. It's not good for us in a lot of ways, but it sure is a handy tool to have when we have emergencies.
Yeah, exactly. No one likes to see a kid or guy or gal just glued to their phone all day.
No, that's the young generations.
I'll catch myself if I'm doing some work or something, and I've just been on the phone. I'll look up and I'll look around at my surroundings and be like, how the hell did I get in the kitchen?
Yes, that's right.
One of those things where I'm just working, returning phone calls, returning text messages, emails, and it's become kind of an integral part of my business, and I just man, I gotta stop, look up,
You can't watch TV and be a cell phone because you miss half the show you're watching.
Yeah, and it's
your mind's in that phone. But in the hunting deal, I see a lot. Now I see a lot of that crap going on too, where you got guys that are on their phones the whole time they're hunting. People don't even stop and enjoy their hunt.
Oh.
You can look down a spread of guys in a field, and they're all on the phone. Every one of them. They're laying in a duck spread or a duck blind, a pit blind, no matter where you're at, and you got guys on their phones the whole time. Texting, Facebooking, doing this, doing that, doing this. We cannot do anything without the damn phone.
Yeah.
Now, I'm as guilty as everybody else is.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if you watch a sporting event, whatever you do, a phone is taking up everybody's attention piece.
We went to the vineyard.
I miss the days when that wasn't happening.
We went to the vineyard last weekend, I should say.
We don't conversate no more. You go to a restaurant and you see a family.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's sitting on a phone.
Yeah. We went to the vineyard last weekend, me and my wife, and we got about halfway down the road, and I said, "Oh, damn, babe, I left my cell phone at the house," and she's like, "Oh, okay, well, turn around, go get it." I said, "No, I'm good," and man, I had a relaxing 3 hours, just looking out at the everything, enjoying life, enjoying wife, enjoying the kid, it was nice.
Yeah, I mean, we don't need phones like that.
Yeah, or at least getting away from them for a couple hours a day. So, but yeah. Well, I guess the last thing we ought to talk about is what's the changes in hunters that you've seen?
Well, the phone deal is one big issue. Guys are back then. People hunted. It was about the hunt and visiting with your friends and your loved ones and being there when your kids or your dad and the sun rises up. And
yeah,
we've lost sight of that because it's all about instant gratification, just like with the phones with these limits. Everything's about a limit. Back then, everybody wanted to shoot a limit. Everybody does. I mean, that's just a name game. If you can shoot 30 birds, everybody wants to shoot 30 birds. You can shoot 10, you want to shoot 10. I mean, and it's always been that way. But today, it's more stressed on the success of how much you kill as much to being on the hunt.
Yeah.
I see the old-timer guys that I hunt with, and you can hunt a group of 6 guys that are 50 or 60 years old that have been hunting together for 30, 40 years or 5 years or 2 years. And they enjoy being around each other and the camaraderie and the stories and, their generation, talking about their generation stuff. And I see those guys, and they're enjoying it and loving it more, and it means something more to them than a group of kids that I have that are college kids that hunt. And it's all about taking pictures, putting them on Instagram, and shooting a limit of birds. There's more respect for hunting from the older gentlemen than there are the young gentlemen. And I also have noticed that the group of 60 years old and older guys don't have their phones out.
Yeah.
Unless a guy gets a call for business, their phones don't even come out. Most of them keep their phones in the truck.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll have a guy come up that's 60 years old, and he'll say, "Hey, can you take a picture with my phone for us?" And you get the picture. I go, "Yeah,
right.
What's the deal? Hell, I don't even have a code on it, or shit, I don't know. Let me see if I can figure it out. And they have to give it to somebody else to show them how to use it, to take a picture. But theirs is all about the hunt. The same as it was in 1972 when they hunted together, where the kid that's hunting has Instagrammed the whole hunt. So everybody in his fraternity or that he works with knows everything that's happened to him since 5:15 when he left from breakfast this morning.
Right.
And he's more caught up in his digital friends and world than he is the actual world he's living in.
Yeah. And then you need to talk about content production and stuff like that. And everybody kind of, with the cell phones, kind of runs their own little hunting show, on their Instagram or their Snapchat or whatever. And I know that's, I'm really excited to be have this podcast and have people that are interested in hearing the stuff that I'm putting out. But I think that I like taking pictures and videos of ducks and geese, but the one part I think that I will miss, and I'm probably still going to do this, but just leaving everything back at the truck and getting out there and just me and the dog or me and my buddy and just enjoying the coffee and not, even though people will tell me, hey, that's a missed opportunity. You always got to have that camera. You always got to have that recorder out there with you because, you have a responsibility and a duty now to, produce content for, your listeners and people like that. Also, a certain part of me that's just I have to be a little selfish sometimes and really remember, why I started the podcast. And that's because I want other people to enjoy their time out there in the blind away from all these other distractors.
The hunting business I got in because I was a passion for hunting. It was my true love in the world. I loved waterfowl hunting. I love listening to the sounds of them. If I go by a wildlife refuge today somewhere up north where there's a bunch of birds still, in the middle of summer, I'll stop and look at them. If I'm at a park and there's geese there, I'm looking for bands on their legs just because that's me. And most of us that do it have that same caught-up deal. But when you make it your job, I'm lucky that it still isn't my job. I still love to watch and see them, and I appreciate them more and more. But the young guys, it's all about, and it's not all the young guys. There's some really good young guys out there. But a lot of these younger kids that are coming up that hunt, it's a sideline or a side note to their Instagram or whatever it is to shoot something just so they can put a picture of it. I don't know that if they respect and love the things the way that, I don't know if they appreciate the game the way we do. And they may. Some of them do, I know. It's not all of them. There's a lot of great young guys that really, but so many of the young kids that hunt with us today don't really care about the hunting and stuff. Yeah. They're going because Dad made them.
Oh, of course.
They're going to do it. By God, they're going to show it.
Yeah, and it might sound like we're being negative towards the younger generation, but it's not that we're not celebrating. The reason that we're not, sitting here celebrating all the good ones is because that's great, and we know that that's out there. But trying to address the issues, and if you hear it, maybe we can, when we talk about it, maybe it changes someone's viewpoint, and they think to themselves, yeah, you know what, you're right. I gotta focus a little bit more. I gotta double down and put that cell phone down, maybe, or not worry about the Instagram photo and appreciate the birds more and do it.
Yeah, but the young guys that we hunt, and I say young guys, I'm talking about kids from 12 up, 12 to 25. I call a 25-year-old a kid, and they're not a kid, but to me, but still kids because my boys are that age. But you see guys that age, especially high school kids that come out with their dads at Christmas. We do a lot of Christmas hunts, and the kids don't want to help put out decoys. They don't want no part of it. And like I said, it's not all of them, but when we do have one that's really enthused about it, it's unusual because we talk about it.
Oh, wow.
Like, boy, that kid really gets into this. That's good to see because you don't see that as much.
Yeah.
Most of the kids are like, oh, God, Dad, okay, I'm on my phone, God,
Yeah.
They want to sit in the truck and play a game while everybody puts all the decoys out and stuff. Back then, you used to not see that. The kids were loving it. They wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And we got to get kids hunting again. And we don't have the kids involved like we used to. I don't hunt near the kids. that we used to. But I tell you what, I do hunt now. We hunt a lot more women than we used to hunt.
Yeah, that's good. That's at least a step in there.
A lot more women are involved with hunting now than they used to be. Yes, it is. It's great. But I see more and more of them all the time, and I've some of the best shots I've seen have been women lately.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that there's not a at the Olympic level, the best shooter, I think, is a woman, and it's marked up too. Like in most sports, when it comes to athleticism and stuff, the guys run faster, do more push-ups, do more pull-ups, but the male athletes can't touch the women athletes when it comes to some of that competitive shooting, especially the air rifle stuff. Just because of balance and stability and all that stuff, and I don't know what it is, but by far and away, I know that they can hammer them.
Yeah, I've seen lots of good women that are really good shots, and they're good hunters, and I see more of them all the time.
Yep, I'm excited to get my daughter and hopefully have her favorite color be camo and not have to worry about cheerleading practice and have to worry more about ducks. So
you'll have that too, though.
Yeah, I know. I got it.
Oh, it's funny. We talked about women being great shots, and then we also talked about how much drama they bring. So see there, it levels it out.
Oh. Yeah, of course. My wife is. She'll listen to this and she'll say, "Oh, hey Ben, about 45 minutes in, you got a comment." And, oh no. But yeah. Oh, and you talked about women being dramatic. Heck, you get 3 dudes out in a duck blind arguing over where that mojo's going. You got to have a shot caller out there. Whoever drove the truck, he gets to make all the decisions.
That's a good deal. My deal is if you drive, you get to control the radio.
Yep.
So that's great advice for people.
Yeah, whoever drove you out there or spent the most resources, they get to make decisions, I think. They get to be the trump card at least.
Another thing I've seen is the big change in the vehicle. Well, it's like everything else, things are getting more automated and stuff. But navigation devices,
yep,
people rely on them way too damn much. I see more people get lost because they got the Google Maps is wrong. And everybody has a 4-wheel drive, and not everybody needs to be driving a 4-wheel drive because some people have no business with one.
There's one of my buddies' place up in Nebraska. We were having a big float on the river, and I invited a bunch of my college friends. Hey, come float down the river and do some, as they would call it, redneck things. And I give them directions. I text them the directions, and they're like, dude, just send me a pin. I said, well, I ain't going to work when you get out here because there ain't much cell phone reception out here. And I was giving them the directions. I said, all right, you're going to, get yourself to Central City, and then, head north on this road until you see a big old grain bin silo that's dented in. Okay, once you hit that dented in one, go till you see the big old cottonwood tree. And they're like, are these serious directions, dude? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, we're not coming, man. And I said, no, you got to come out here. And they, yeah.
But people rely too much on the phones. I'm fixing to go to the lodge, and we've got 70 dove hunters this weekend for opening weekend. So be getting people start trickling in about 2:00 today.
Awesome.
But I have enjoyed visiting with you, sir.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I look forward to keeping up with each other all during hunting season, and hope our podcasts both keep growing the way they have been.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. So I'm glad there's some good crossover happening at least. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate, everything you've done, and you've been a lot of advice, and you've sure helped us a lot on a lot of different things. I do appreciate it because it's been a learning curve.
Oh, and yeah, right back at you on that. So it's nice to have somebody that you can bounce your issues off of when it comes to podcasting and all the different concerns and problems that we face in that realm, at least.
Well, I hope your Huskers win. I hope you have a great weekend.
Yep, I hope you guys stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir. You have a good weekend, sir.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, and to finish up here, I want to talk a little bit about some of our partners that we've got on the show. First, we've got Hunt Hickory Creek. So Chase over at Hunt Hickory Creek, they're doing something pretty cool, especially with this veteran giveaway. And we've also got the Fowl Front Hunt, which is on the weekend there in December. So we're really excited about that, and we're going to be hoping to make that an annual thing. So we can definitely look forward to hearing a little bit more from them as the season progresses. And don't forget, if you're thinking about spending money on a guided hunt somewhere out of state, especially in Kansas, get on over here, talk to Chase, talk to Cody, talk to Scotty, and you can basically get to check out a guide service for free and make an informed decision instead of just some guy off the internet or somebody kind of told you something about this. You can get in there and you can really get to know them, and they're really good dudes, and they have a lot of really cool stuff coming up. So go check out Hunt Hickory Creek if you're looking to get on an excellent waterfowl hunt anywhere around central Kansas. We've also got Dive Bomb Industries, and Dive Bomb Industries is giving us 10% off with the Fowl Front code. So if you're looking to get into an affordable, extremely realistic, and really easy to set up spread, and basically want to add some numbers and be able to compete with guys like Outfitters or the dude next door who's throwing out 20 dozen, go check out Silhouettes, because go check out Dive Bomb Decoy Silhouettes. So these things they're legit, and it's a really good way to build numbers fast and to compete. So plus they're a really cool company, and they got a lot of cool stuff coming out in the next several months. And then I've gotten a little bit of a look. I've been just through talking with Asher and Cody, and they have some really cool stuff and plans for the future. So and once again, kind of the common tenet here of all these partners is that they're all really cool people and really interesting companies. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what they've got coming out, and give them a shot, because it takes about a minute to set out a dozen of these things, and they take up zero space in the garage or truck. So go check out Dive Bomb Industries. We've also got Toe Tags LLC. Now, Toe Tags LLC is a company. They're based out of Kansas, and you just heard their story. It's a cautionary tale of a lot of heartache, and hopefully we can help you avoid any of that situation with Toe Tags LLC. I used them this weekend, and they're super easy to use. And you might think it's a hassle and all that stuff, but just the confidence of walking out of the field knowing that a game warden can't touch you because you are literally following the letter of the law. It feels pretty good, and it was really convenient too, because I just slipped it in the bag and threw it in the freezer, and it's good to go. I know that I've got 4 teal there instead of, obviously you can tell teal, but it's nice to know what you've got in each bag. All right, we've also got Athlon Optics, and this might be some of the first time you're hearing about Athlon Optics, but they produce some really good shooting scopes. But I reached out to them because they produce really awesome binoculars. And I'm telling you, I've looked through these Athlons, and I've got a pair in my truck right now, and you can see so much better. I pulled up, I won't name the brand that my dad has, but we're looking out, through his, and then I pulled mine up, and it's a clear difference. And not to mention, any company that is willing to go out there and say, hey, here's a lifetime guarantee, lifetime warranty. It's good to know that you can have your binoculars and use them instead of having to keep them in an egg carton or something in the back of in your backpack. Or it's good to know to just go out there with confidence that if something happens to them, there's a company that's going to stand behind them. So yeah. So go check those out. That's Athlon Optics. They're also a Kansas company. And if you give Athlon Optics a quick Google search, you're going to find that this is not some small-time thing going on here. They're in most of the top 5 as far as glass. And they're producing binoculars they're producing and selling them at a point that they I don't know how they sustain it, but these things are definitely worth 3 or 4 times what you'd be paying for them. That's definitely another consideration to think about. So go ahead and check on Athlon Optics and tell them we sent you over there. And you know what? We're going to be doing a couple giveaways that they've sent us over some binoculars, and instead of just keeping them in my blind bag, I'm going to try to put them into yours. So look forward to that. We've also got Freelance Hunt Stats. That's obviously Elliot from over there at Freelance Duck Hunter. He is got this awesome entrance system where you can basically plug in all of your data instead of just keeping a journal of kind of what you did. This thing actually, it's a journal, but you can go back and you can analyze it, and you can use the analytics, and you can break stuff down. It's pretty cool. Just give up one Starbucks or give up one monster a month, and you'll be in like Flint. So go ahead and check that out, and then you can improve on your future hunting successes and basically get to go back and look fondly on all these things. That's one of the things that I like about my hunting journals, and what I'm really excited for this thing is because now I can go back and be like, oh yeah, you remember that? Yeah, that's cool. So, yep, go check them out. We've also got duck nuts. Duck nuts, I hadn't used them in the field until this weekend. They're amazing products. You can literally to throw it on there, you just do a quick tie, and then all you got to do is just grab the decoy in one hand, the loop in the other, stretch it across, and the duck nut slides either down to the bottom where you can then throw it out, or it slides back up to the keel, and then you just throw it into a bag. And you don't have to worry about things getting wrapped up because it's the weight part is sitting right next to the decoy. And so you throw them all in a bag, and all you got to do is grab plastic, and then the freaking line just follows it out. So instead of like a Texas rig where you have to like make sure you're not crossing lines or shoving anything down in there, and you got a big old mess when you just throw it down, this thing you just throw it in a bag and grab a decoy, toss it out. It's pretty dang simple. So yeah, go check them out. They have also got 10% off if you use the code FOWLFRONT on their site. So head on over to ducknuts.com. That's DUKNUTZ. Then there's Gypsum Creek Retrievers. Evan down there is running a full-service gun dog training facility right in the middle of Kansas, and I look forward to heading down there. I'm actually in a couple weeks here, 2 weeks. I'm heading down there, and we're gonna go hunt it up and get on some teal, and he's gonna show me kind of some of his methods and some of his dogs that he's training right now, and I'm really looking forward to it. We're gonna do an episode basically on tuning up dogs and kind of what his program is all about. It's not like most of the programs out there, but it's got some similarities with some of the really more successful dog trainers out there. So yeah. And then we've also got, if you are trying to figure out how to learn to call, or even if you just want to make sure that you're all tuned up, there's some good programs out there for you. But I'm going to recommend Duck Tech app. So you go down into the Google store and you Duck Tech mobile app. Download this thing, and it's got Barney Califf on there, who is a 3-time world champion duck caller, and he teaches you the basic elements of your duck calling, and kind of tells you what they mean and when to hit them and all that stuff. I looked through it, and it's pretty cool. The coolest feature about it is you can hear it. It goes wah wah wah, and then you can make the sound wah wah wah. It'll record you, and then it'll play it over that, so you can say, okay, this is what they sound like. This is what I sound like. Oh, okay, dang. Okay, delete that recording and then hit it again. And so that you can kind of compare and evaluate yourself. And I think that's an extremely useful function. Last but not least, we've got SRB field rests. And these things are cool too. They're also a local Kansas company. In fact, where he gets them manufactured and molded I'm up here at my parents' house, and I'm looking south in Nebraska. You can just about see 20 miles, and you can almost see it. So these things are pretty cool. Instead of laying your expensive shotgun in the mud, you just stick this thing in the mud or the ground, and it props it right there. And they've got stands for all sorts of stuff. They got crossbows, shotguns, rifles, and whether you're in a dry field or a muddy field, or if you're in a marsh, the flooded fields or the flooded timber, he's got something for you. So head on over to srbfieldrest.com and enter the code FOWLFRONT for a 10% discount store-wide. So, all right, guys and gals, I'm super excited that we got to sit here and educate and inform you on some of these laws and stuff that we might not have known about before. And just really thankful for you guys sticking around and supporting these companies. And we'll see you on Wednesday. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast. Please come join us on our Facebook group, the Fowl Front Waterfowl Podcast group, where you can connect with a good group of hunters, because we're all in this together. We need to act like it so that hopefully our great-great-grandkids will be hunting ducks over our favorite public lands. We also ask that you go ahead and give us a written review on iTunes and give us 5 stars if you think we deserve it. And we really do want to hear back from you so that we can give you the best possible content. And if you get in on that Facebook group, you can get in there and you can ask questions and you can tell us what you want to hear next, or you can tell us what you don't like. And we'll be sure to tailor things to our listeners. So, all right. Stay safe out there, and we will see you next week.